where the music industry was pre Web3, and then where you see it going and why right now you feel like is a big inflection point?
Yeah. So pre Web3, as a artist, you were the I guess there are a few things, but the main metric that you're looking at is streams, Spotify streams. You also have concerts and all that kind of stuff, but one of the main catalysts to get a high degree of streams, which equals a certain amount of monthly passive income as an artist, or getting concerts, is via these record labels. As an artist, you also have Twitter or social following. All of these things are happening in various silos. And you're also another piece of the record labels and sort of partnering with a third party like that is to get an upfront, sort of amount of capital that you can use to hire other people, to actually travel, whatever it may be. And so what we're seeing with Web3 music and music NFTs is you already have distribution. So what if you had a instrument or vehicle to monetize, sort of the how good the songs were, how good the albums were. So there are a bunch of different ways you can cut it, right? You can sell a whole album or a specific song as an NFT, versus relying on the tens of millions of streams you need to do to see a similar kind of income for both. I think for I mentioned it before, but with let's say you earn ETH by selling these NFTs. You can actually take out loans on. You can get a stablecoin loan, and that sort of serves in a similar kind of role to what a lot of these record labels have offered. You can do collabs with other artists, and sort of put your music online as an NFT and split sort of income in an internet kind of manner. You're less reliant on a third party where you don't have complete insight into the number of streams that you're doing beyond them telling you these are the amount of streams you did last month and this is how much we're going to pay you for the month. And so I think it's just a model where this is how it should have been, right? Like record labels are built off of a pre-internet era. And so, I think most of what's working today are these artists who understand how smart contracts work, like how distribution works. But you also have a number of sort of, mass followed musicians who are beginning to experiment where they can with music NFTs. So, I think it's from a listening standpoint to NFTs distributed to NFTs minted to activating your fan base using NFTs as that medium and as that vehicle. Like we're just seeing some really, really cool and really exciting experimentation happening right now.
Do you see it coming as more of like a platform approach where, let's say I'm an artist and I go to, I know I want to launch my next album in Web3. Is there going to be a place where you go that can direct you to the loans, that can direct you to the distribution, that can direct you to all these ancillary things, or are all these different notches that the artist will kind of have to learn on their own?
What's the market structure for music NFTs? I think it's just too early.
Better question.
Yeah, I think it's just too early to say. You look at Spotify. Spotify came well after a lot of the sort of the internet-based music approaches. I remember as a kid, like Apple, iTunes, like paying 99 cents for songs and things like that.
It's $9.99 for the album.
There you go. And then, you have things like SoundCloud, where it's sort of, the longer tail of musicians, of collabs, of remixes. But there was, there still is incredible artists that use that as their initial platform. YouTube, as, sort of, you had Justin Bieber and a number of others that have popped up. You have a lot of these shows on TV that ended up producing artists that we know and musicians that we know very well as a mainstream audience. And so I think it's just too early to say this is exactly how the market's going to pan out. We've made a few investments in the space, and I think it's backing founders who understand crypto, but also understand the music industry, and can help activate some of these early musicians and their audiences, and present new audiences for them. And so, it's just a really fascinating time.
Yeah, it is. I have two interesting examples that I'll give. I had a previous guest who is he's younger, but he's starting this new education course, and his sister is an amazing singer, and he let her record, and then he turned it into an NFT, and it sold out in 24 hours. Right. And technically her manager now, right? Which I think a lot of people are trying to get away from, but for that, she would have no idea how to put it to sell it, right? Like, it would be going through the record labels and doing that traditional path. You'd really have no other option where you'd have at least control over your streams of revenue. The other thing that comes to mind is I'm a member of the NFT collection called the Dead Fellas, and they had a nice party, NFT NYC, and not a single artist that went on stage, music or not. For some of them were performance artists as well. I guess you could say music artists are that too. But I'd never heard of them, and I started to think deep, like, if we really are democratizing kind of the socialization of people and trying to use the NFTs or fungible tokens as a way of pooling capital, right? Creating capital pools and letting the collective decide. That seems like an ideal use case, right? Finding people within the community and letting them perform on stage. Now, there's quality control, I think, is always the counter argument to that, but it's just the fact that the community decided who was going on stage, and it's like this renaissance of like underground music, right? Where these people that may have just been going club to club or like tried to be a regular at one club can now join a community that values music and really, like, at least make a living. I don't know if you're going to be a millionaire from something like that, but they can make a good living just being a part of these communities, which I think is awesome.
Oh yeah, I mean, curation as something that could be a full-time job. Curating music, curating applications, curating just within crypto and Web3, and building atop these marketplaces, I think is going to be something that we see as a career decision, something you can do actually as a career. And I think also just the beauty of the open, transparent, public pieces of Ethereum and Web3 in general. Like, this is going to allow for more unique taste, more opinions, more ways of saying, that's cool. Like, I think these things are unlocked versus like top 40. These are the artists. It's society is telling you these are the musicians or the whatever it may be that you as a mainstream consumer should be paying attention to it and should be consuming. So yeah, I think it's a curation and curators as something that could be a full-time job is something that we're certainly tracking and excited about.